Let's be guided by the steps of mindful pause to enter into the temple of our bodies. We stop for this time of movement meditation. Grounded at our feet, we're reminded of our connection to the earth, being held present in this moment. Aware of our human capacities and limitations. Sense into the fullness of your body, from the connection at the earth through soft bend at the knees, an awareness of a lightly engaged core, an openness through the heart as the shoulders settle away from the ears, and a lengthening of the spine tall to the crown of the head. We're in this stop. We're aware of our connectedness to source outside ourselves. The influence, the source of influence of higher inspirations. Whatever name you give to Creator God, Source, Spirit, Inspiration, Nature. We pause to remember its presence. Sinking awareness from our head down into our heart. Let's breathe as if the breath is moving in and out of the heart. Smoothing any jerks or pauses in the breath. Restoring balance to the breathing restores balance to all our body systems. And the invitation for today's practice comes from John, chapter 1, verse 16. From his fullness, we have all received grace in place of grace. Keeping hands at the heart, we sustain that breath awareness. We move to the think step of mindful pause. And hearing this commentary on grace as we settle into our practice, listening with the ears of the heart. Grace abounds. As prayer and movement meditation becomes more intimate by our ability to breathe grace into the heart, grace reaches down into the depths of our psyche, empowering it to unload any emotional damage and debris of a lifetime. Purified. Faith penetrates beyond appearances to the hidden reality. Everything begins to speak to us of grace as gift from God. It alerts us to grace and God's presence, Source's presence, creative life force presence in all things, in daily life, events, and other people. The graced energy, like an ever-flowing stream, is shared with those whom we live and far beyond. Through us, creation is pouring the divine light, life, and love into the human family. So our practice is to sustain an awareness and a connection to receiving grace from Source and saturating our being. We continue the think step as we move into flowing fountain. In breath, we stretch tall. Out breath, bubbling over. We're saturating ourselves. Let's fold just to our knees to start. Backs of the hands meet. We wind up our hands as we draw from the earth. the evidence of grace. Transforming our heart, our fingers fold into heart. Prayer hands pass by our eyes that will see the world today with grace. Our thinking mind that will transform our thoughts from the source of grace. Lifting hands up to infinite source in sky. Showering ourselves in an out-breath with grace. This is our opening, moving meditation. I'm going to give you time on out-breath to saturate your awareness with grace. In-breath, we draw the hands up, passing our whole body, heart, mind, eyes, and we lift up an in-breath, drawing in from source the abundance of grace. And we bathe ourselves. And as you feel ready, you can move from a fold to your knees, to a fold to our feet. Even our cold feet. My toes are still cold. Breathing, we stretch and begin to move energy. If there's a particular part of your day that needs grace of some form, an understanding, a compassion, a generosity, bring that personal intention into this meditation as you saturate with grace that flows from all things. Make this practice your practice. On our next flow, let's wind up to hands just at our knees. We're going to move into standing cat stretch, where we tuck the tailbone and drop the crown. In breath, we swim through, lengthening crown and tailbone. Out breath to cat. In breath, sweeping to cow. Let's breathe and move here. If you can give grace, any particular energy in the form of a color or a person that models grace beautifully to you, or the presence of grace somehow in nature or art or music, whatever helps to amplify the essence of grace, we bring that to our mind and we help move that energy into our bodies as we warm. On our next cat stretch, let's wind up the spine, open our hearts, receiving this day as gift. In breath, tall. Pause here, an extended mountain, anchored at our feet, eyes lifted up. By grace, we mean sheer gift. With our eyes lifting up, we receive, we look, we expect, we yield to the presence of grace, the givenness of life in all its forms. Nice deep in-breath. Out-breath, an open heart to forward fold. In-breath. Reverse that sweep, receiving the day as gift in all its forms. Hands draw to heart center and step our feet open into straddle. Toes open to the corners of the mat. Elbows into our hips. We sit in moon goddess. Pause to check our form. Tailbone turned to earth. Activating our glutes, your buttocks, opening the hips so the knees are wide. The connection of our feet firm to the mat. Pelvic floor lifted. Let's breathe and move in our sunflowers. Today with a little punctuation, a little sharper in-breath, and a pull to out-breath. Building some heat. In-breath, lift and pull. Lift and pull. Lift and pull. Lift and pause here in Moon Goddess. The moon again, our teacher. especially as it transitions, the phases of the moon reminding us of our own phases in life transitions. Moving into our moving meditation, let's lift. We're going to trace just one side of full moon into a lateral side bend and pull into moon goddess, and then reach and stretch one side body and pull. In breath as we stretch, out breath as we pull. In breath we stretch, out breath we pull. Here, your moving meditation is to be breathing your grace and be mindful of what phase you are in this day, in this season of your life, or a particular phase of a challenge or upset in life, and be open to let grace come in and give you what you need. Sitting again into moon goddess, we lift our arms to star pose, but with cactus arms. Let's turn our toes perpendicular to the mat's edge, our palms inward toward our ears. Take an in-breath here, out-breath a twist. In-breath here to center, out-breath to twist. A gentle warming of our trunk, our torso. The knees remain soft, not locked. We warm the trunk into twist. Nice work. We open all the way to star, growing into heat. Building our light. Grace transforms the way we see the world. Taking a nice deep in-breath, we stretch our arms tall. Out-breath, we hinge and fold to straddle. Here we'll flow in our twist, one arm to open, out-breath to fold. Opposite arm to open and fold. In-breath open and twist. Out-breath to land. In-breath open to twist. Out-breath to land. We have one more each side. In-breath opening. Out-breath we fold. Last opening and twist. And we fold. Here we come down onto our knees, building heat and power in our upper body. Let's take an in-breath forward to modified plank. Out-breath lowering to hover. Surrender the hips. In-breath, we lengthen the crown. Out-breath, we push through to downward dog. Stay here in your first downward dog. Let's tread the toes. And then anchor the heels. Tailbone upward toward sky. Sternum toward our thighs. Softness at the elbows, but power in our palms. Pressing into the mat. A couple of heated breaths, full breath here in downward dog. And take our next in-breath forward to modified plank. Out-breath heart over hands to hover. Surrender the hips. In-breath lengthen the crown in cobra. Out-breath push through to downward dog. In-breath forward to plank. Out-breath to hover. Surrender the hips. In-breath lengthen the crown. Out-breath push through to downward dog. Nice work. Let's bring our eyes forward to our hands and our knees to the mat. In our tabletop posture, moving into spinal balance, a little different effort today. Let's take your right hand and the left knee to lift. And we're going to work just this set. In-breath to lengthen. Notice the leg does not have to travel high. Just the lengthening of the spine with a flexed foot, activating glutes, hamstrings, and calf. In-breath lengthen. Full elbow to knee, getting that cat stretch, activating your core. In-breath lengthen. Out-breath pull. In-breath lengthen. Out-breath pull. In-breath lengthen. Out-breath pull. In breath, lengthen and pull. Let's get 4 more. 4, pull. 3, pull. 2, pull. And 1. Hands to tabletop. Lift up off the mat. Stretch to sky. And hinge and fold to child pose. A brief pause. Remembering grace. Remembering grace. All of creation, evidence of the grace and generosity of grace. Letting the influence of grace change the way we see our day today. Coming back to tabletop, ready to work. Our spinal balance today is an effort. It's work. Left hand lift, right knee hover. We're reaching and we're stretching, seeking grace and pulling it in from all sources, people, pull, from nature and pull, from our circumstances and pull. In breath, lengthen. We have 4 more. 4 to pull. 3 to pull. 2 to pull. And 1. Return to tabletop. Lift hands up off the mat. Extended mountain, pouring in of grace. Ready and open to trusting in the infinite, like the sky. Infinite possibility to receive grace today. Out breath to tabletop, toes turn under, push up to downward dog. Feel power in this pose. Today we're going to bend our knees and we're going to lift your right leg up in 3-legged dog. We're going to bend that knee and let that heel travel across the body. We should feel a nice stretch through the rib cage. Through the rib cage and into the hip flexors. A nice stretch for 3. You can roll your ankle if you want. 2 and 1. Square up and travel to the left knee. That right foot forward into supported lunge. The knee far enough forward, but still able to see our toes. Trail toes, fold to the mat. Walk up the lead leg, lengthen the left side body. In breath, lengthen. Out breath, sweep to a gentle twist. In breath, lengthen. Out breath, twist. Notice the effort to put flowing twists into today's practice. Every time we twist, we detox. We let go of the residue that interrupts our ability to let all our moments grace us with insight, compassion, kindness, virtue. Nice deep in breath. Hands to the lead foot, trail toes, turn under, push back to downward dog. In breath, forward to plank, modified or full. Out breath to hover. In breath, cobra or up dog. Out breath, push through to downward dog. Nice work. In breath, bend the knees. Out breath, left leg lifts. I promise I won't fall this time. I'll try not to talk with one hand. Bend our knee. Let that heel travel across the body. Roll the ankles. Head is down. Opening the hip. This can easily be done from a knee too. You can do this from like a tabletop posture. Just open that hip. Nice deep in breath. Square yourself up. Bring the right knee to the mat. Left foot forward. into supported lunge. Walk up the lead leg, in breath, lengthen, out breath to open. Here's a twist. You know you. What do you need to get rid of, to wring out? Maybe a grudge we're holding against a person or a situation. Maybe it's an unnecessary worry. Maybe it's a ruminating on thoughts from the past. And when that hand lifts up to infinite sky, seek the grace that's particularly useful to you today and bring that into the body. Filling the empty spaces that we let loose when we name and let loose those distractions that interrupt us from grace. Nice work. Take an in-breath tall, out-breath, hands to the instep. Trail toes turn under, we lift into long lunge, and our hands walk the side mat. We open up our toes to the corners of the mat, bending our knees, we lift and sit into moon goddess. Here we're going to hinge at our hips. We're going to gather that sunshine in breath lift. This, again, like our moonflowers, I want this to be punctuated. In breath, we gather. Out breath. In breath, we gather. Out breath. In breath, we gather. Out breath. In breath, we gather. And hold here. Prayer hands pull to our heart. Toe heel our way in to mountain pose. Stepping tall to the top of your mat so we can prepare for sun salutes. We've warmed up the shoulder girdle with strength. We've stretched into our hips. We've activated the core. We're ready to move with energy into the sun salute. In breath, tall to mountain. Out breath, open heart to forward fold. In breath, send your right foot back to lunge. Out breath, we move to downward dog. In breath, forward to plank, modified or full. Out breath to hover. In breath, cobra or up dog. Out breath to downward dog. In breath, right foot forward. Travel as you can, maybe on a knee. Pull a leg through if that helps. How do you move if you move with grace? Not overpowering, not underpowering. Be in your body with grace. Move and accept the body as it flows. We're here in our long lunge. Feel your length. Out breath, trail foot to forward fold. Soft knees, flat back. Reverse sun breath arms. Hands to heart center in prayer. Leading sun salute with our left side. Grace allows us to move through life with different perspectives. We let go of our mechanical ways of being and experiment with something new. We'll lead with the left. In breath, tall, reaching for grace. Out breath, a showering, pouring over to forward fold. In breath, left foot back to long lunge. Out breath to downward dog. In breath, forward to plank, modified or full. Out breath to hover. In breath, cobra or up dog. Out breath to downward dog. In breath, left foot forward. Travel with grace. Out breath to forward fold. Soft knees, flat back. Reverse sun breath arms, lift. Stay here in extended mountain. With hands lifted up to source. If grace is applied practically and personally in our life, we learn and apply new ideas or knowledge, which enables us to think in a new way. This new thinking can lead to a change, not only in our minds, but also in our being. Let's step hands through our heart. Let's open up to star pose. Let's open up to star. Turn your right toes to the end of the mat. Hinge on that lead leg. Angle our trail foot, and we're in warrior two. This meditation is really summoning us to use warrior energy, devotion, clarity, vision, discipline, courage. Holding your warrior pose, let's hold that lead hand open. Letting ourselves receive the grace that is in abundance, that we need only to wake up to receive it. Transforming incoming impressions. So as you have your day today, receiving whatever comes, frustration, disappointment, challenge, fatigue, anger, whatever comes, we do the work of transforming, which enables us to relate in a more honest, open, and loving way to friend or foe, a colleague, a sibling, a parent, a situation. In this process of taking the person in a new and different way, evolves in a different direction and an elevation of our being, lift into peaceful warrior. When we receive the grace to transform those incoming impressions of people, situations, we are lifted higher. That's what grace does for us. Nice deep in-breath. Out-breath, windmill. Pivot to that lead foot. This flow through the mini series to downward dog, forward to plank, lower to hover, in-breath cobra or up dog, out-breath downward dog, in-breath right foot forward, trail foot plants at an angle. Lift arms in warrior one and continue to open to warrior two. Second set, palm lifted. Pause to name some of those challenges that you know you will face. Ask for the grace to give you what you need to transform those moments, people, situations, and lift you. Transforming our beingness by hearts and minds open to grace. Nice deep in-breath. Out-breath, windmill the arms and open to star. More and more. Becoming light by doing the warrior work. Discipline practice. Courage to face the world, our experience. Willing to interrupt mechanical patterns. Trained ways of thinking and being. And being open to grace. Opposite foot to the end of the mat, hinge at our knee, warrior two, palm lifted. Do the work. Get clarity on where you can invite grace to transform your experience of life and people and situations. Transforming into new ways of being. Breathing into this reverse warrior pose, willingness to receive the grace and to know and expect to be lifted up. Nice deep in-breath. Out-breath, windmill, pivot on the trail foot, flow through to downward dog. In-breath forward to plank, modified or full. Out-breath heart over hands to hover. In-breath cobra or up dog. Out-breath to downward dog. In-breath, Left foot forward. Second set. Trail foot angles. Arms lift into warrior one. Out breath to warrior two. Palm lifted. This is where I invite you, always in your warrior pose, to do your vision work. Whatever situation or person or condition you're working with, give it clarity. See yourself in that situation, transform. See yourself inspired by grace to be present in a different way. Nice deep in breath. Out breath. Windmill the arms and open to star. More and more becoming light. Gracing the world with your light. Nice work. Stepping into your, let's do your right foot. Stepping into right foot tall to mountain. And we're going to pull to chair. We're going to stay here and work. You can sit shallow or deep. You get to choose. With headlights of our knees shining forward. All 10 toes pointing forward and the knees staying balanced. We take our opposite elbow to the outer edge of the mat in twist. Here's another opportunity to ring yourself out. As we've moved and meditated, were there little voices of, yeah, but, except for, only when? Were there any limitations you put on being transformed by grace? Ring out those attachments, those habits, those conditions. In breath tall to mountain, knowing you're fortifying your efforts. Out breath open to star. Becoming grace. Receiving grace, becoming grace. Stepping into the opposite side mat. Pedestal our feet, hugging the feet, squeezing the knees, palms to press, we pull the chair. You determine the depth that you do this work. Physically and prayerfully. Rotate into twist. Pausing here to remember what you need to turn toward to satisfy your hope, your dream, your wish. What practices? What sources of inspiration and guidance? Doing the work, staying strong in the twist pose, turning toward those things that will help you sustain the presence of grace. In breath tall to mountain. Out breath open to star. Becoming grace, a radiant light. Hands float to behind the back, interlace fingers, knuckles to the floor. Shoulders open, heart buoyant. If possible, moving your hands away from your hips. If available, a little back bend with strong legs, softness at the knees, engagement to the core, easy at the neck. Breathe grace, flowing into heart and mind and body. Sometimes a very, very vulnerable work. Exposing our tendencies, our attachments, our expectations, and inviting higher sources to transform us. Gently release. Give the shoulders a roll. Open up to star. Stepping into mountain, growing in resilience and strength. Hands pull into our heart, and we're going to anchor on this inside leg. We've done our warrior one and our warrior two work. We're going to lift that mat edge foot, and we're going to lengthen into warrior three. We're going to work here first, pulling into the center. and extending into warrior three. Pulling for 5 and stretch. 4 and stretch. 3 and stretch. 2 and stretch. Last one and stretch and hold. Eyes can go to the floor. Easy posture through the neck. Square your hip as much as possible. Square through the shoulders. Soft bend in that supporting knee. Breathe your length for 3, 2, 1. In-breath tall. Open to star. Beautiful work. Hinging, arms stretched forward. Nice work. Soft bend at the knees. Turn toes open to the corners of the mat. We're going to hinge and we're going to cactus our arms through center and pull. Reach and pull. Reach and pull. This open fingers on the reach and fist into our pull. Reach and pull. The core is strong. Belly button hugs the spine. When we travel side to side, the knees stay inside our toes for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to center. Pull the arms open. Lift to star. Toes perpendicular to the mat's edge. Soften the shoulders. Open the heart. Step to the opposite mat's edge. Pull hands into the heart. Anchor to the inside mat leg. Sitting and bended knee. We stretch into warrior three, and we're going to work for 5. Pull. 4. Pull. 3. Pull. 2. Pull. Last one, we hold for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Windmill pivot tall. Out breath, open to star. Beautiful work. Elbows into the hips. Toes open to the corners of the mat. Hinge forward. Open up our wings. This time, as we do our sweep, we're going to windmill and touch either inner knee, inner calf, inner heel. Open in-breath. Still in a forward fold posture, tummy tight, knees soft, heart open, and exhale work. In-breath open, out-breath 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 work. Last one, in-breath open, out-breath work. Hold our open, staying open, lift. Toes perpendicular to the mat's edge and star. I open my heart to grace, and grace will let me shine. Affirming. I open my mind to grace, and grace allows me to see the world in new ways. I open my heart to grace, and I bring light into the world. I open my mind to grace, and my beingness is transformed. Hands draw down to the hips. Toe heel, our feet in. I'm warmer now. How about you all? Are we warmer? All right, let's take this work down onto the mat. We're going to stay in a seated posture. I'll face this way for this first exercise. We're going to do simply our boat posture. And we're going to take first just a single leg lift as we find the power in this pose. Pelvic floor is lifted. Belly button is hugging the spine. Shoulders are down and away from our ears. And the heart is open. Feeling very strong and anchored in the core Our limbs feel light. See if you can sense and breathe into lightness of limbs, and then join me if you want. Double leg lift, in breath, return. Double leg lift, in breath, return. Double leg lift, in breath, return. This time we'll hold. In breath and hold. You can do bended knee. You can do extended legs for 4, 3, heart to your heel, your knees, 2, and 1. Lower easy. Extend the legs into staff pose. Hands interlace. We revisit our flowing fountain from staff pose. Breathing, we shower. Past our minds, stretch to infinite sky, and hinge over our whole being, transformed as we move and breathe into grace. Hearts, minds, source, hinge and fold. 3 revolutions, 1 for the body, 1 for our emotions, 1 for our mind, all transformed by grace. Hands come to our heart and pause. Bring our hands to just behind our hips, elbows pointed away, fingers forward facing. Bring our feet into tabletop pose, and we're going to lift into bridge, a reverse bridge. So from here, in breath, out breath, lift. Pause for a moment, elbows soft, heart open, the shoulders don't collapse. Strong shoulder girdle, lift and away. Hips squeeze, buttocks strong, anchored into the ball of the big toe, ball of the pinky, and the heel. Now let's work. In breath, return, out breath, lift. In breath, return, out breath, lift. In breath, return, out breath, lift. In breath, return, out breath, lift and stay for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower the hips. We're going to do a combo. Okay? We're going to come up here. We're going to do a lift into boat. And we're going to row our boat. We're going to extend for 4. Pull. 3. Pull. 2. Pull. And 1. Pull. Plant. Lift for 4. Return. 3. Return. 2. Return. And 1. Return. Now, combo. Lift. Hands stay in place. If you can, make V. You're welcome to make a V. Move heart toward our thighs. We're going to do boat, bridge. Boat, bridge. Boat. Breathing. Last set. Boat and bridge. Seated. Sweep hips through, legs extended, hands in front of the heart. 3 revolutions of moving grace from the heart. Transformed mind. Stretch to infinite sky and shower for the body. Breathe to infinite source and shower for our emotions at our heart. In breath to infinite sky. Transform, breathe grace, changing our minds. Nice work. Take our legs back into boat. So Thich Nhat Hanh, a beautiful mindfulness teacher, reminds us that we do this work with delight. This journey of transforming is meant to make life feel lighter. And in that sense of levity, we can find delight. We become masters of our moments, not a victim of our day. How joyful is that? We get to be a master of our moments. Let's be playful with that as we massage. Rock the boat. We're rocking the boat of our experiences, no longer a creature of habit. We become playful, curious. How can I be different in this experience that has in the past been frustrating, disappointing, or drawing out my critical nature. We play. Let's lower to the mat. Let's bring our legs tall and bring our trunk into ab prep posture. Belly button hugs the spine. Toes are pointed for this exercise. We're going to do our scissors work. Stretch one leg toward the floor, one drawing our heart toward our knee, and we exchange in breath and work, out breath. In breath, tall to sky, out breath, work. In breath, tall to sky, out breath, work. If the head or the neck gets tired, a light hold with one arm can make that a little easier, so you can still work your trunk. Last 2 and 1. Nice work. Bring the knees in. Give yourself a little massage. Good core work. Moving now onto our side with bended knees. Our head can rest on a folded arm. The underside leg can stay bent. The top side leg extends long from the hip. Now check in that this hip is stacked over the other hip, because we're going to work the buttocks, not our hip flexors. So stay stacked in the hips. This time our foot is going to begin flexed, and we're going to lift a side leg lift with a pointed toe. Core is engaged, shoulders are stacked, heart is open. We're going to flex and point, flex and point. See if you can put a hand at your core. Feel its engagement. The pelvic girdle strong. Your foot is flexing and pointing, flexing and pointing. There should be a light lift to that trunk because the trunk is engaged, staying in neutral spine. Flex, point, and flex, point, and flex. Let's lift and hold. And let's do that lift just extended from the hip. Take the lower side leg and lengthen. And the underside leg is going to squeeze and return. Squeeze and return. Core is engaged, belly button hugging. 4, return. 3, return. 2, return. And 1, hold. For 4, both legs lifted. 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. We're going to bend the knees again. Our forward hand is going to push, and we're going to lift here. Both hands to the side body, a variation of our push-up. We're going to find the position that allows you to lower into a push-up. And for this push-in, it's different than our chaturanga, where the elbows go close to the body. This is more like bench press. So our hands can be wide, and when we lower, the elbows stay stacked above our wrists as much as possible. Lower heart to the floor and press. Lower and press. Lower and press. Lower and press. 4 and press. 3 and press. 2 and press. 1 and press. Good work. Open up. Nice work. Lower hips or hands under thighs, lower to the floor. We're going to work our bridge, hands down at our side. Out breath, lift to bridge. In breath, return. Out breath, lift. In breath, return. Out breath, lift. In breath, return. Lift and hold. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower hips to the mat. As you lower, you might want to shift your hips to that opposite side. Bend the knees, roll onto side. Hips are stacked. Underside leg remains bent. Top leg lengthens. Flexed foot. Belly engaged. As you engage the core, you might feel that lift as the hips square The shoulders square, that side body lifts lightly off of the mat. Sustain that core connection, point and squeeze, point and squeeze, point, squeeze, point, squeeze. Working glutes, not your hip flexors. You can check your core, you can check your hip, you can feel the buttock working. Last 2 and 1. That leg comes to hover, the underside leg lengthens. We lift and lower, core engaged, lift and lower, lift and lower. Sorry, this is a single leg lift and lower, lift and lower. Then we lift and hold for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Nice work. Bended knees, top hand to the earth, push ourselves up. Wide stance, heart lowers to press and push. Press and push. Lower and push. You can give yourself as much resistance as you want. You can slow that and kind of add resistance to the push. Make this as easy or as challenging as you want. Last 2 and 1. Lift and turn into seated posture. Legs extended and then open into straddle. Toes tall, interlaced fingers. Shoulders soft, heart open. This time as we rotate the trunk, another twist time. We continue to wring ourselves out, palms for the toes, stretch and sweep. Here's what I found. Hands rotate, pull into the heart, press and return the opposite direction. Sweep, pull and sweep, pull and sweep, pull and sweep, pull and sweep. Stay here at center. Let the hands land, maybe at your knees, maybe at your shins, maybe at your toes, maybe at the soles of your feet, maybe to the earth. And bow in this humble fold. When we do the work of opening up to grace, especially in our challenging moments, situations, this process of being awake to where we're vulnerable to challenging emotions, judgment, expectation, criticism, this process of taking people, situations in new and different ways, we find less criticism or judgment. Our being is impacted and can evolve in different directions, perhaps opening us to a completely different destiny than the prior recurrences, habits from our past ways of being. Gently coming up out of stretch, we bring our legs into seated staff pose. Hands come to our heart, and you all remember our creation breath flow. I'm going to reverse that order. We're going to start with our hands in an open posture. The experience of opening up to grace is receiving the gift of transforming the incoming impressions, expectations, experiences of our life. We lift our hands up, remembering that we can seek from infinite source everything we need for grace to come in and transform our being. Our arms opened up. We discover ourselves awake within a wholeness of life, remembering then that all things can work for good. All things. Hands coming in folded over our heart. Remembering the very precious, unique design that we have to work with our personality, with our past experiences, with our future ambitions, all that makes each of us a unique ray of creation. This journey of receiving and transforming into grace is a very personal one. And we return to hands open. The hands open, now a gesture of becoming gift. We receive grace, we do the work, and then we become grace. Bringing our legs into seated, cross-legged pose or any posture where you can find a comfortable, relaxed, tall spine. Hands today in a gesture, a hand mudra, the base of our hands, pinkies and thumbs connected, and the fingers extended like lotus flower, and let that rest at our hearts. The posture of our lotus hands remind us the beautiful quote, no mud, no lotus. Life can get mucky. But when we do the work, when we open up like a beautiful lotus flower to grace, we transform all things to good. Learning, growing, elevating our being with grace. Settling into this pause, breathing, letting the work continue. Narrowing our focus to simply following the breath is the lasting impression of the movement of grace in, receiving it as gift, and out in our transformed being as gift into the world. Receive and offer. Sealing our hands in prayer pose at our hearts, pausing for a breath of gratitude for this time to be in our bodies, to feel and move and set intentions for how we can work with grace today. May this practice deepen your personal journey into wisdom, love, and grace. May it be so. Peace be with you.